Alright guys, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. The bad news, there's no official Break 75 episode this week. But next week I've got a banging one coming for the final one, so make sure you check that out. The good news, I've got a handicap. Now this video is taken from a podcast that I do with Guy, and we talk about my new handicap, which I think will surprise and shock a lot of people. It certainly shocked me. Filmed here in the podcast studio. If you've not checked it out yet, definitely do. We release a new podcast every Tuesday. Sometimes we release even bonus ones for twice a week. And on the second channel, the second YouTube channel, we've just achieved this, everybody. 100,000 subscribers. Jump over there, make sure you subscribe. I think you'll really enjoy the content. Right, let's jump over to this clip about what my new handicap is. You'll be very, very shocked. After all the Break 75s we've done so far, I've put my scores into England Golf, and I now have been assigned a handicap, and it's really surprised me.
Okay.
So a bit of a backstory. When I was a junior golfer, I got down to single figures. Probably at 16 or so, I was off single figures when I went to college. As I turned probably to about 18, I probably was off about 4 or 5 handicap, and I needed to work quite hard. At 19, I turned professional. I did my PGA qualifications at 19, and as mentioned, to become a PGA Pro, you have to be off 4 or less. I got my lowest amateur handicap down to 3.
Can you remember the exact handicap?
3.4. Like, just in 3,
Yeah.
right? I then turned professional. And when you turn professional, you have 0 handicap. So I became a 0 handicap player. I never really felt like I was a 0 handicap player. Like I wasn't a golfer that could shoot regularly under par. Very rare would I do that. When I played in tournaments, when I became a PGA Pro, I shot 4 or 5 over par. That was my golf.
And that was you're happy with that?
That was what I expected. Weirdly, my mindset changed, thinking I should overnight now start shooting level par, even though that's not that. Like overnight, as soon as I turned pro, I thought, oh, I've turned pro now. That must now unlock the key to get me into level par golf or under par golf. Not true. So from 19 to current date now, over that time period, I've not had a handicap. So that's been 15 years of no. I've been a golf professional for 15 years now. Oh, that's scary.
It's a long time.
In that 15 years, I've played in some competitions. I've done okay-ish, not really competed in a massive amount of level. So right now, at the start of this year, we did a video talking about what my handicap would be roughly. In my head, from the golf that I play, I honestly believed I'm a 2 to 3 handicapper. And that's where the premise of Break 75 came from. We thought, if I can make a video where I can go around the golf course, and if I can break 75, which is typically on a par 72, it's 3 over par. If I can break 75, I'm playing to my handicap.
You did be shooting 2 over par then to
2
do
over par.
Yeah.
That's where the whole idea came from. And the big idea with Break 75 was to almost let people know that I'm not going to shoot under par all the time. I'm not a tour player. Somewhere around the 70s, I'm happy with.
Do you think the PJ in your name, people think of PJ Tour and therefore like an elite golfer?
100%. Yeah, there's a definite misconception there. I know I'm good enough to play. I turned professional as a PGA Pro to coach and to make people play better. Had the skill, the ability. I could demonstrate shots if I needed to. I played a little bit, but again, that wasn't why I turned professional. I turned professional, so it gave me the license so I could coach, charge money, earn money, make a living.
Just a quick one then. So when you did turn pro and your handicap just kind of vanished, but it was really like it was 3. When you then played like a scratch golfer, did you feel like you were the same as him, or do you still think they were kind of a bit better?
I never wanted to receive shots off a scratch handicapper, but in reality, I never probably won.
So you should have done, really.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Interesting.
Because what do I then say I am? Because again, as soon as you turn pro and you lose your handicap, there's no way of monitoring it. Like until now this year with the world handicap system, there was no way of me putting an accurate measurement on this unless I literally tracked every single score I had in that 15-year period and almost did it myself.
And do you think 4 handicap is the right handicap to turn pro off, or do you think it should be lower or higher, or is it about right?
I think 4's good. If you're off scratch, you don't have to do a playing ability test. Scratch or better, you don't have to do a playing ability test. From 1, 2, 3, or 4, you have to do a playing ability test, which isn't ridiculously hard. It's 2 rounds of golf, and you've got to shoot under 15 over.
So
Okay.
7 over each round basically gets you in.
Sounds easy on paper, but I bet if people are nervous
Very
and you
nervous.
get 182 in there,
Yeah.
you're suddenly thinking this is going to be a tough ask.
Yeah. So it's kind of, it just showed there's a level of skill there. And again, as we mentioned, the PGA is a pathway into so many different jobs.
Yeah.
Like doing the PGA qualification here in the UK and the USPGA in the USA, it allows you to be like you mentioned, a club fitter, a professional golfer, a head pro at a golf club, a director of golf, whatever it may be. So you don't have to be scratch or better. You just have to have an awareness. So before this series, I thought I was off 3. So because I've been recording all my scores for the last 11 rounds, I'm going to put a little caveat on this because I've actually only been able to use 10 of the rounds. The JCB round that I had, which is weirdly my highest score,
Convenient.
didn't count because the JCB isn't affiliated with England Golf, so you can't get a handicap there.
There's no slope rating and stuff like
No.
that.
So because it's a corporate membership facility,
Okay,
so
makes sense.
they don't have memberships there. So I submitted all my scores. And I'm just going to run through them very quickly so people can listen in. We'll just fire them on screen. Worsley Park was the first one that I did, 77, 5 over. St Anne's Old Links was next one, 82, 12 over. Next one I did was Mia, 70, 1 under par. Next one I did was Presprit, 73, 2 over par. Next one I did was Celtic Manor, 77, 5 over par. Stockport, 73, 2 over par. Hillside, 76. That's not 76. I actually shot 77. I wonder if the triple bogey turns into
It
a
will
double.
do. Yeah, it does. That's what it does.
Yeah, I just looked at that then. So Hillside, I've got on this app now. I'm on the England Golf app. It's down as a 76, but I actually shot 77.
Yeah, that's why triple bogeys don't. It's net double bogey, is it? The
Yeah.
worst you can have.
So the 7 turned into a 6. So that was 4 over. Kings Barnes, I shot 72, level par. Old Course St Andrews shot 73, 1 over par. And Royal Birkdale shot 77, 5 over par.
So you now have a handicap after all those rounds.
In my head, after watching and you watching all my golf,
Yeah.
and me playing, after all the rounds of golf, what would you say my handicap is?
Well, I don't know what yours is. You've not shown me.
No, I've
so
not
I don't
shown you
know.
what my handicap is.
I would honestly say between 2 and 4. So I'll go 2.
You're a long way off. And that surprised me.
Higher or lower?
A lot lower. My handicap, my handicap now, after those 10 rounds of golf, drum roll please, is plus 1.2.
Oh,
I am a
days.
plus handicapper. Let me explain. So with the new
What?
world handicap system, all the things like slope rating, course index, everything else has been factored into these measurements. So
Right.
even though, let's say I had a 73 around St Andrews Old Course, because of the difficulty of the golf course, that actually played as a plus 1.8, so almost 2 under par gross. So, for example, this is really interesting. When I had my 70
Yeah.
around Mia, so 1 under
under.
par, because of the difficulty level of the golf course, etc., it actually came out as 2.4 under par.
So your 1 under gross was essentially 2.5 under gross.
Now, this is where it's interesting. Even though I had some bad rounds, I had this 82 at St Anne's Old Links, and I had a couple of high 70s. The way that the new handicap system works with my 10 handicaps, the 3 best scores count.
Okay.
And it's an average from those best 3.
So you've got Mia,
70 at May, which played
2.5 under.
2.4 under par. I had a 72 at Kings Barnes, which played a 1.1 under par.
Right.
And I had a 73 at the Old Course, which plays 0.1 under par.
So plus, yeah.
So they've taken those scores into consideration. They've taken average of those 3, and the average of those 3 is 1.2 handicap.
Plus 1 point.
Plus 1.2
You know what's
handicap.
mad? As shocked as I am, I always, a bit of a cliche, but I think it is true. People always say you should play to your handicap when you're playing well.
I've always said a handicap is a snapshot of you on a good day.
And that's, to be fair, you are, certainly now we know about the actual, essentially the par changes as well.
Yeah.
You are, on a good day, about between level and 1 under.
I'm not going shooting 5 under par, so I'm not off plus 5. I can squeeze a 1 under par in every now and again, as we've seen. So that's me on a good day.
And what did you say was your worst score? How many over?
The worst score on the system, because the JCB one didn't count, was 12 over at St Anne's Old Links.
So do you think that might give listeners some faith that if a +1 handicap golfer can shoot 12 over on a bad day, what would an 18 handicapper shoot on a bad day?
This is really interesting, something I've just seen. At 12 over par at St Anne's Old Links, because of the conditions and everything else, the measurements of the day, it actually came out as only 4.8 over par.
Oh my dear. So they have the condition on the day on there as well?
So they've got history of like competitions that have taken place that day or other scores that have taken place that day.
Oh my word. That's
So
mad.
even though I was 12 over gross, and we saw the conditions, it was horrendous.
It was.
Also, sorry, very quick one. Some of my scores around were quite big at St Anne's Old Links.
So they got knocked down
They would
again.
have been knocked down a little bit as well.
How does it feel to be a +1 handicap golfer?
It's pretty nice. Bit of flex. Like I say, after looking at the evidence, I can't argue with it because that's kind of what I'm saying.
It does make sense.
It's me on a good day, and every now and again I can shoot a 1 on the par. What it's made me consider is if I'm a +1.2 handicapper, okay, or I'm a less than scratch handicapper, honestly now, if you did handicap measurements of the best players in the world, a Dustin Johnson, around the golf courses that he plays at, in those conditions, what is someone like Dustin Johnson's handicap?
Literally +12, +13.
Because they can shoot 10 under par.
And on a solid course, 7,500 yards
So
with
that,
massive
that
rough.
10 under par could easily turn into a 13 under par because of the conditions. And again, if it's a snapshot of you on a good day, an average of your best rounds, I honestly believe, and this is why we see tour players at their local golf courses having +9 handicaps, etc. It just shows the levels. And if anybody for 1 second is thinking that, oh, Rick, you're not that good, I'm just going to put this into perspective. If I'm off +1.2, okay, and someone like a DJ is off +10, if we played 4 rounds of golf, he would be 40 shots minimum better than me.